Really sleepy right now. I don't know why. I've been sitting in the same spot for 8 hours. How's your day been so far?
Been busy, I'm telling you.
I know. It's always busy up there, especially on
Like
a
very,
Thursday.
very busy. I'm just like, Lord, help me. I'm just like, this is too much. You guys are so adamant about everything.
No, literally. And how long have you been working at the University of Bison Center?
I'm like very new, like a month and like a week new. So I haven't been there that long. Also I'm also pretty new in my career. I'm not far advanced. Like I graduated college like 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So it hasn't been that long. And I've kind of just bounced from job to job for a little bit. So kind of just trying to find my footing somewhere and
Yeah.
just be there for a while.
That's cool. And so you did you graduate from UTA or where'd you graduate from?
I actually graduated from Wheaton College. That's in Massachusetts. So I'm actually new to Texas. I grew up in Rhode Island, went to school in Mass, and then moved to Kansas, and then moved to Texas.
Oh, okay. Do you like Texas so far?
I like it. Yeah. It's different. It's funny because I used to always say I want to move to Texas one day. Whenever I lived in Massachusetts, especially when I graduated college, I was like, I thought that's where I was going to go. And I laugh about it now because now I'm like in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and I'm like, Lord, I hate driving here, and it's just too big for me. I thought I was like, I'm a city person. I grew up in the city, but like Dallas is too big for me. Where I grew up, Providence is really small, and Boston's not that big, and I thought I would always end up in New York, but here I am.
Do you like inspire? I'm sorry, I'm gonna start in a minute, but do you ever start? I'm just interested because I never met anyone from that area. But like every time I hear other people's like experiences of Texas at first, they're like, I don't like it, it's too big. Like I would say, break it down from where you are in Arlington, Dallas, and Fort Worth. It's literally just left there, and then going forward, it's like urban and stuff. But you'll get the hang of it. It's pretty big, but Arlington is like. I grew up in Arlington for 22 years. I've never left, so I need to probably leave. So, but like you'll get the area very quickly. It's very small too, but yeah. Sorry, I just want to say that.
Okay. I appreciate that. I'm trying to get used to it slowly.
Yeah. You'll get the hang of it. It's not fun here. I think because I just grown up here and I know where everything is at, but. Just don't go to Fort Worth. It's too big and you'll end up in Houston somehow. No. Okay, so again, thank you for letting me interview you today. My first question for you is, do you think our workplace celebrates diversity and the people here and also the ideas that the people give?
At UTA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it definitely celebrates like diversity for sure. I think working at a university, you have to embrace diversity, not just for the sake of like meeting the status quo or the quota, but like just in general because you're meeting students of all kinds of different backgrounds. So I think we always try to like cater to faculty and staff who come from different backgrounds, especially for our students, just so they feel welcome.
Yeah, I agree. My next question for you is, what are the biggest obstacles that, like, as a Black woman, have you confronted or what do you think the biggest obstacle for Black women is as they advance into, like, leadership roles or into, like, manager roles? What are some, like, confrontations they may face as they try to move up in rank? Because as I said before, my mother, she it took her like kind of 30 years to kind of get to where she wants to be, while for others, let's say someone that is non-Black, it takes them, it's a little quicker for them. Why do you feel it's like kind of that slowly going up the rank?
Um, so I'll preface it with this. So I haven't been in many leadership roles I can't speak on my personal behalf
Mm-hmm.
or speak for the behalf of Black women in general, because it can be for a variety of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe some like obstacles that I think the first thing that comes to my mind is like it really depends on like I guess like I don't know if this makes sense, but like maybe the company's mission or like what they stand for doesn't really embrace like diversity in the workplace, so that can be an obstacle. Because if you're working in corporate America, I mean, I worked in corporate America for like less than a year at one point. I mean, a lot of the leadership was, white men.
Mm-hmm.
So if your mission isn't, or if you don't have goals or, I guess, a vision to kind of broaden that as a company, then you're probably going to continue to see the same faces. And then those Black women in those roles and like lower, not lower roles, but maybe like an employee role that's not quite a manager role or a leadership role, they may not get the opportunity or even like the chance to be seen for the work that they're doing, That's what comes to my mind. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, no.
I was going to go into some other stuff, but I was like, I don't know if that really connects to like an obstacle. I guess I think of also like personal obstacles, but I guess as like something more objective, I think of like the company's mission.
Yeah.
In their vision.
I definitely agree with that. Just because I'm an intern also that takes up most of my time at GM Financial in the Human Resources Department. And so like one of our mission statements is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they try their best to, incorporate that into all the, daily settings and work life. So, I totally agree with that. If you hear about diversity, but you don't actually see it, it's kind of like, are you just doing this for show? Because, there are some companies that sometimes do that. And I'm aware we only have 5 minutes, so I'm sorry, bear with me if you had any other appointments. So I'll just go into my next question. Have you ever experienced inequality in a workplace? This can be a previous job. It doesn't have to be current, because I know you are spick and span new. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty...
And you don't have to say the job or the... sick person.
Yeah, I would say so. I guess it was like pretty early on when I first started working right out of college. It was my first job, like big girl job, I'll say.
I say that too.
But my first big girl job, I guess it was like, I felt like I don't know, I don't even know how to phrase it. Like, I was constantly, I don't know if I want to say belittled, but maybe like for like either being compared if a man was in the role, it'd be different, or women do it this way, or women think this way when they do these type of things. So I don't know how to phrase it. Yeah, kind of like passiveness, and I guess making me feel like I was not qualified for the role, or as if I could do the position.
So you felt like you weren't capable of just being in that type of setting or that job role?
Yeah, just based up like a lot of the feedback or the comments that I was constantly hearing from my supervisor.
Was it like microaggressions? I think that's what, or was it just like okay, you do it this way, let's just do it another way type thing?
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm like thinking about this experience, and I'm like, maybe we should just skip over this.
Yeah, let's skip over it. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so my next question for you is so like in my previous interviews that I've done, like I always, and I think this might be the title of like possibly the article, is Black women have to work twice as hard. Like, why do you think a Black woman has to work twice as hard to get where they want in the workplace.
Why do I think they have to work twice as hard? I mean, because we've always been working twice as hard. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. I mean, I think when you think back from the beginning, there wasn't a lot of, like, I think it just kind of goes back. You go back like 30, 40 years ago, like, you weren't seeing Black women in higher up positions. We were kind of seen as the help, and if we finally made it, it was like we were taking breadcrumbs at every given opportunity just to get there. And it's unfortunate. Why? I don't know. I'm trying to, like, I guess it just kind of, like I said, it goes back to, you think about, like, the last few decades, we didn't have that many opportunities. There's a lack of opportunities, a lack of people that look like us, lack of representation. So, I mean, yes, we're going to work twice as hard so that we can be the faces for students like you and generations to come.
Yeah, I agree. And, like, I would just say, too, I asked that, too, because, like, a lot of other people that I've interviewed, they're kind of, like, in their late 30s, and, you know, they're kind of already established into their career, and they were kind of telling me, like, you know, 20 years ago, you know, I started this job, like, when you were being born, you know, and they're like, you know, during that time, there's just a different perspective, especially, like, too, like, you know, you would get to a job and you would have to take those baby steps or those crumbs to get to where you wanted, because that was the only way. And she's like, and they both told me, literally, it was just kind of crazy, the deja vu. They were like, your generation, y'all are more outspoken. You say no, you're very, you know, if you want a different wage or if you're taking on too much that's in your job description, you let them know right then and there. So that really, I'm hearing a lot of that in my little interviews that I'm doing, where it's kind of like, you know, that twice as hard is because we get twice the work, but for little.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think another thing that comes to my mind is, like, you know, it's kind of, like, risky. Maybe even, like, our generation, we can be more outspoken, and you see a lot of young Black women now just trying to emerging in different industries and, you know, being more representative in different areas. Like 20, 30 years ago, it was like we couldn't be that outspoken. Otherwise, we're kind of like fulfilling
those
like a stereotype, where someone would look at us different and be like, oh no, I don't want to hire her, you know? So.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, like, I'm going to ask you two more questions because I feel like you've already given me everything. So, who has been, like, a mentor for you? And, like, why do you think mentorship is, like, important?
Oh, yeah. I love mentorship. I have a few mentors in my life. A lot of them are back home, so we FaceTime pretty, you know, every once in a while when I have the chance. But they're always kind of championing me to kind of continue on, even when I kind of, especially when you work in higher ed, you get burnt out pretty easily. So you get burnt out pretty easily, and it's easy to kind of lose sight of your vision and what your goals are. So it's good that I'm very grateful that I have mentors in my corner doing that. Why is mentorship important? Because, man, without mentorship, I feel like I don't know where I would be. I don't think I would have taken the risks that I've had. I think mentorship is there to push you forward in the direction that you want to go, push you towards those, like, maybe those delusional ideas you think you have about starting a business or going back to school, or, you know, changing your major to something that is outside of the norm in our culture. So, yeah, I love mentorship, and I think everyone at some point in their life should have a mentor.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like I like the what you said about like making those delusional decisions or doing that is because like Kalila has said something about like living in delusion, because once you live in that delusion or you start, thinking, oh, that's kind of untangible or that's unreachable, and you do it, it's like, was it really delusion or was it something I could do? And I just was, kind of scared to
Yeah.
do it. So
Yeah, and I think what another thing that comes to my mind, I feel like often as Black women or in general, like we seek out mentorship because it's so common, not even just for Black women, but for women in general. We become hostage or victim to imposter syndrome. So it's like, it's good to have a mentor in your corner because sometimes you may not think you are capable of doing something, or that you're not the right person for the position, or no one's ever going to take you serious if you are a business major, or if you do this sorority or that, or if you think you could like own your own talk show, whatever. So that's another reason why I think it's important, because I think so often, even for myself, we just, so easy to fall victim to imposter syndrome. It's like,
Yes.
So I think it's good to have a mentor just telling you, no, like, go do that thing. Like, even if you think you may fall flat on your face, at least you tried it. And guess what? You're going to get back up and you're going to do it again.
Yeah, I really love that, especially too, like, just because I'm part of a sorority, I'm part of Alpha Kappa Alpha, sorority incorporated, ski wee. And I have a new mentor that I just interviewed today too as well. And she said something about like, making sure there's a seat at a table, and like saying, like, she says my names in rooms that hold so much like, power, like, like with VPs and SVPs, all of that. And it's like she says, like, everywhere she goes, every time she gets a new contract to work in human resources, she always makes sure, like, she finds, other Black women or women that represent her and that are looking to move up too and uplift them as well. And so just hearing that it's kind of it's a pattern, and sometimes, like, as someone that I want to be a mentee, but I also want to use what I see, like with you. Whenever I saw you, become a new staff member, I was like, wow, like, woohoo, Black girl, go, I love it. And I don't know, I just love the connection piece of it. And I don't know, it's just really cool hearing how we can mentor without having to actually, carry them, or, you just say your name or leave a little plate at the table for them. You know what I'm saying? And it can do a lot. So, yeah.
Oh, it does so much, and it's very encouraging to know that and to have that.
Agreed. So my last question for you is going to be, what advice would you give any young Black woman that is getting into their big girl job, as I like to call it, and you said it earlier too. I love that you use that. Like, what's some advice you would give them into, like, moving up or, trying to get into their career field?
Man, I feel like for me, what I've always been told, just to go on a little tangent, I thought at one point, and maybe I'll revisit this, I wanted to be a head track coach for university. I was a coach before I went into advising, and for a long time, especially when I started in my career, I was scared because I was like, no one is going to hire me as a head coach. I don't think I could be a head coach. But my head coach would mentor me and told me, like, no, you can be. Like, we are looking for women like you. And I think it's a matter of, like, my advice to young Black women who are trying to move up in their career is, like, I would say just walk into rooms like, I forget this, there's a quote that I used to always say, like, shine so bright that people cannot take their eyes off you. Like, walk into rooms and talk to people like, you belong there, what you're doing, what you're saying, you have the credentials, like, especially with, like, recent college grads, like, you may leave school feeling like, oh my God, like, and I was one of them, like, I don't think I have what it takes. I don't know if my resume is enough. Like, no, your resume is enough. You got a whole degree. You studied for 4 years. Like, you have everything that it takes. Mm-hmm. You need to walk in that room, walk in confidently, and believe in yourself, trust yourself, like, and just, like, block out that voice, that loud voice in the back of your head that tells you that, you know, you're an imposter or, like, you can't do it. But I started implementing a little bit of that when I started off in my coaching career. Mm-hmm. And I was amazed at, like, the connections I was growing and meeting new people and, like, gaining new knowledge. Like, you just never know, like, when you take that next step, who you can encounter, what you can learn, and truly what you can discover about yourself.
I love that. And I really hope you do get into track again. And you're going to be a coach one day.
Yeah, it's funny. My athletes still call me and ask me, Coach, you gonna coach soon? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like tired. I'm so tired. I'm like, I don't know if I want to coach again. Hopefully at some point. I've been thinking about volunteering at a high school, maybe soon, maybe next year or so. Yeah. Just to get some experience, get my feet wet again. So.
Yeah, I definitely think you should. And then also, like, UTA's track team's pretty good, so you ever want to go to the department?
I saw that. I was like, yes.
Yes. Well, thank you so much again. Again, so sorry for my tardiness. I am a very everywhere person, as you can tell. But I really appreciate you for your time, and I hope to see you around more. I'm only at the UC once a week, so you can always come and say hey. So I'll be looking tired, but I'll be there.
Are you on there? Is it on Wednesdays?
Thursdays.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then my other question: what year are you? A junior or senior?
I graduate next summer, so senior, junior.
Okay.
Yeah, I say I'm a senior just so I can be delusional and think.
Yeah. You'll get it done.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you. Well, it was good connecting with you, Elizabeth, and hope we can do this again soon. And yeah, thank you.
No problem. And you can call me Lizzie. Elizabeth's like my government name. I don't usually go by it, but you can call me Lizzie.
I'm gonna call you Lizzie because Chris kept saying Lizzie, and I kept thinking he's saying Lindsay, and I was like turning around. He's like, "Where's Lizzie? Where's Lizzie?" I was like, "I'm right here, Chris. I'm right here." He's like, "No, Lizzie." I was like, "Elizabeth."
Yeah. I can see how that goes. It gets confusing. I hear you.
But Lizzie, thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to let you get to your weekend and relax and enjoy. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Of course. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.